You ever stop and think about the expiration dates on your food? Milk, bread, even stuff in cans. Eventually, it all goes bad. But there's this one sweet, golden liquid probably sitting in your pantry right now that just doesn't. Today, we're diving deep into the mystery of this eternal nectar.
And the answer, of course, is pure honey. Just let that sink in for a second. It's a food with a shelf life that you don't measure in days or years, but in, well, centuries, even millennia.
And this isn't just some wild guess. Archaeologists digging around in ancient Egyptian tombs found something absolutely mind-blowing. They uncovered pots of honey, sealed up and buried with the pharaohs over 3,000 years ago. Now, here's the kicker. The honey was perfectly preserved. After 30 centuries sitting in the dark, it was still totally edible. This just begs the question, a question that scientists have been obsessed with. How on earth is that even possible?
Okay, to figure that out, we've got to become chemical detectives. See, it turns out honey isn't just plain old sugar water. It's this perfectly engineered substance with a killer 3-part defense system against spoilage. So let's break down the clues.
So the first big secret is all about what honey's made of. For any little organism to grow, and that includes all the nasty bacteria and microbes that make food spoil, it needs one thing, water. Well, honey is basically a desert. Look at that number. Honey has a water content of only about 17%. That is way, way too low for bacteria or yeast to survive. Any microbe that's unlucky enough to land in honey finds itself in a super hostile, incredibly dry environment. And this leads right into the next part of its defense. Honey is what we call hygroscopic. All that means is it actively sucks moisture out of anything around it. So, through a process called osmosis, if a bacterium lands in honey, the honey literally pulls the water right out of it, dehydrating it to death. It's pretty brutal, but hey, it works.
But being super dry is only part of the story. Honey has another powerful weapon in its arsenal. It's really, really acidic. And this creates yet another barrier that very few microbes can ever hope to get past.
Just take a look at this. Pure water, right? That's neutral, with a pH of 7. Honey, though, has an average pH of around 4. Now, it's not quite as acidic as lemon juice, but it is more than acidic enough to stop almost all bacteria and other microorganisms from growing. So you see, it's not just one thing, it's this combination of factors. So we've got low water and high acid. That's a pretty powerful 1-2 punch. But the bees. Oh, the bees have one more trick up their sleeves. A secret ingredient they add that delivers the final knockout blow to any would-be invaders. And that's something you've really got to remember. Honey doesn't just happen. Bees don't just slurp up nectar and store it, they actively transform it. They create this perfect, long-lasting food source that's specifically designed to feed their colony through the long winter. It's incredible. The whole process is just fascinating. After a bee collects nectar, it mixes it with a special enzyme from its stomach. Then they put this nectar enzyme mix into the honeycomb and start fanning it like crazy with their wings. This evaporates most of the water, which gets us back to that low 17% moisture level. But it's that enzyme in step 2 that really holds the key. Let's zoom in on that. So this magic enzyme is called glucose oxidase. Its job is to break down the sugars in the nectar, and when it does that, it creates 2 important byproducts. One is something called gluconic acid. That's the main reason honey is so acidic. And the other is something you've definitely heard of.
Yep, hydrogen peroxide. The same stuff you probably have in your first aid kit for cuts and scrapes. This little enzyme makes sure that small, microbe-killing amounts of hydrogen peroxide are constantly being produced inside the honey. It's like honey has its own built-in 24/7 cleaning service.
So now we have all the pieces of the puzzle. Let's put them all together and see why the case of the immortal honey is officially closed.
It all comes down to this incredible trifecta. First, it's so dry that it just sucks the life out of microbes. Second, it's so acidic that almost no germs can survive in it. And third, it's constantly making its own antiseptic, hydrogen peroxide, to finish off anything that's left.
And these 3 things don't just work on their own, they work together to create this nearly perfect defense system. It's a chemical fortress that makes spoilage basically impossible, as long as the honey is kept sealed and pure. So seriously, the next time you put a little honey in your tea or on your toast, just take a second to appreciate what you're actually eating. It's not just a sweetener, it's a tiny, edible time capsule, a masterpiece of millions of years of brilliant natural engineering.
And that kind of leaves you with one final big thought. Bees perfected this amazing recipe for preservation long, long before humans were even around. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other incredible secrets are just hidden out there in nature, waiting for us to find them?